Hey everybody. Hope everybody's doing good. Thanks for tuning in tonight to The Dope. We have some exciting topics today. We're going to talk about this trailer that I just watched today for an upcoming HBO show called The Nevers. And we're going to talk about that for a little bit in the first half. And in the second half, we're going to talk about Ella and give some Ella updates. So I'm excited for that. And with me is my regular co-host, my bestie, Stephanie. Stephanie, how you doing?
Hello, I'm good. How are you tonight, Maui?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Excited to get into some fun topics.
Yes.
So, I figured let's just hop right in with the trailer for the Nevers,
Okay.
and then we'll just talk about that. So, one second. Let me pull it up. I think I have it ready to go. Yes. Okay. Hopefully, I shared the sound. I don't know if I shared the sound, so now I'm gonna unshare and then do it again just to make sure I did it right because I always do that and they'll be playing and be like, there's no sound. And I'll be like, oh, my
Uh-oh.
bad. So, yeah. So, give me, okay, here we go. All right, here we go. Trailer for The Nevers. This is a new show by Joss Whedon. And, well, it's complicated, but we'll talk about that after we watch the trailer. So, here we go. We should be able to see the screen. Are we frozen? Oh no. Stephanie, you're frozen. In a second, Stephanie has entered the room. Stephanie, double Stephanies.
Sorry,
No,
my computer's wigging out tonight, so it'll be
it,
exciting to see what happens with me.
it happens. It happens. All right, here we go. We're gonna watch the trailer for the Nevers, and then we're gonna talk all about it. So here we go.
Came 3 years ago. A power that mocks God. Those afflicted are touched.
Mrs. True?
Miss Adair? Being touched is not a defect of character. In this war, the cops, the purists, there's no shortage of people who hate us.
I love this use of sound in this.
We don't want more violence.
Gentlemen, might we be civil?
Horror.
Nutshot.
Go arm in arm.
The touched are not a threat.
I take it then that you are yourselves among the afflicted.
We don't consider ourselves afflicted. We're part of something much bigger, and it requires sacrifice.
This looks so good. It's coming out on my birthday month, so that's a present for Maui, I think. Thanks, universe.
Oh my god. That's so awesome. So is this do you know if this is based on anything or is it a brand new?
I think it's an original idea from the mind of Joss Whedon. However, he did step down from the show, so that's
Oh
what we're going
yeah,
to talk about.
the
So
drama.
this is the drama. So The Nevers is an upcoming science fiction drama. It's set during the Victorian age, I believe. It was created by Joss Whedon for HBO. Series is produced by HBO and Mutant Enemy Productions, which is his production company. Producers include Whedon, Doug Petrie, Jane Espenson. So Petrie and Espenson both worked on him on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. They're frequent collaborators of his. So a pretty great pedigree. However, he stepped down. Said he was exhausted and he wanted to take some time for himself. And so British screenwriter Philippa Goslett has been announced as the new showrunner. I'm looking at her Wikipedia page right now. She wrote Little Ashes, which is a biopic about Salvador Dali. and Federico Lorca won a GLAAD Media Award for Outstanding Film, so that's pretty cool. Also co-wrote a screenplay for How to Talk to Girls at Parties with director John Cameron Mitchell from a short story by Neil Gaiman, who is my favorite writer. So that's super cool. And it had Elle Fanning, Nicole Kidman, Matt Lucas, so all people that I like. So yeah, she seems to have a pretty great pedigree. Wrote a 2018 film called Mary Magdalene, that starred Rooney Mara and Joaquin Phoenix and Chiwetel Ejiofor. So like I'm like digging her writing pedigree here. So I'm pretty excited for that show. You're muted again, Steph. You're having your sound issues again. And yes, Becky, you do have to get HBO again because this show is going to be freaking phenomenal. Stephanie, your mic's still messed up. Stephanie's been having mic issues since pre-show, y'all, just so you know. So that's fun. So we know that Whedon had issues on, it sounds like you're back, on the production for Justice League, and that resurfaced recently with the allegations from Ray Fisher, which is what I think drove Whedon away from this production.
Can you hear me? Am I good?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. It's really interesting to hear this because as a fan of Joss Whedon's things, he does not have a very like people don't speak positively of him in the internet circles I circulate in. So I definitely think that what you're saying is true, that there's like some drama more than he is just kind of exhausted, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there's definitely something more than exhaustion.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. And I have to say, like, you're getting some weird echo from your mic now. You're having so many audio issues today. I'm so sorry. So yeah, mute yourself for a sec. When I was younger, I was a big fan of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, like big fan of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Angel, Firefly I was obsessed with Firefly when that came out. Dollhouse, I was even a big fan of that. I know that people didn't like Dollhouse as much, but I was a big fan of Dollhouse. What about you?
Can you hear me now? I'm through my computer microphone.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, so everything I've seen of Joss Whedon's I've really loved. I love Firefly. Like, it's like masterpiece. And even the people who don't like Joss Whedon like Firefly. And then I just really like Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh my gosh, top tier for me. Like, I was literally just listening to some of the music yesterday from it. And he got a lot of flack for that, particularly because it was weak on female characters, and that is kind of something that people on the internet really like get mad at Joss Whedon about. And what do you think about that, Maui?
I think he was a pioneer in terms of putting strong women on television. But his POV is a bit dated now. Like what was revolutionary in 1999 is not so revolutionary in 2020.
Yeah.
So like when I was when I first fell in love with Joss Whedon in the 90s and the 2000s, that was revolutionary what he was doing. We see how that aged. I think we first start to sour. I'm going to mute you for a second while I'm talking because you're still getting a little bit of feedback on your mic when I'm talking. In Avengers Age of Ultron, some of the character work he does with Natasha really, really rubbed people the wrong way. How the Hulk is talking about he's a monster. And then she compares herself to him saying she's also a monster because they removed her ability to bear children, and that makes her somehow less than human. And I think that was a huge whiff on Joss Whedon's part.
Ooh, it's been a hot second since I've seen that movie, and oof.
Yeah. So that's upsetting, right? And so I think that probably rubs that. I think that was the beginning of the decline for him. Plus, Age of Ultron is just not the best, Marvel film. It was considered. I mean, it was a financial success, but it was considered, mid to low tier Marvel. So that's an issue. And yes, you are still giving bad feedback. I would put some headphones on. That probably would fix it. I see you doing it. So yeah, I think that was a big issue for Whedon, and I think that he's had a lot of missteps, which is kind of torpedoed his career in more recent years, which is a shame because I do think he's a very talented writer, but I don't think he has evolved with the times. Similarly, I have this, similar issues I have with Whedon, I have with Stephen Moffat, which, who comes up a lot, when I think of talented writers who do problematic things, in their writing. So is what it is. So let's see, let's see how you sound now.
I sound better. Can you hear me?
Sound much better. Well, you sound fine still, but now you have no feedback, so that's good. So yeah, so those are my issues with Whedon. But
yeah, and that's the same thing that I see online. I don't think I've consumed enough of his media to have a super strong opinion. It's just kind of one of those things that, like, by osmosis, that's the right word, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have a chip on my shoulder about him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, so Buffy the Vampire Slayer is an interesting show because you can tell distinctly who wrote the show by how chauvinist Xander, the character Xander, is. If Xander's super problematic, then like Whedon probably wrote that episode. If it's like more evolved Xander, it's probably Jane Espenson.
Oh damn!
you can see in that character, I think, is wildly inconsistent throughout the show because of it, especially in the early seasons. I think he starts to smooth out in the later seasons, but the early seasons he's really, really bad or really, really good, depending on who's writing.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. So yes, so that's the Nevers.
Can we talk about I'm sorry, are you gonna
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Outside of the drama, just talk about like the trailer, because as someone who loves women, it made me feel a lot of things.
Yeah, so what okay, so give me your impressions of the thing, right? Tell me what you think.
I mean,
I can bring it back on the screen silenced so we can talk as it goes. So I'll do it without the audio this time.
Of course, my first thought is like, wow, look at all these beautiful women. I'm super into that. It also just looks really interesting. It's not a time period. We get a lot with like superpowers. That's like, even with like Doctor Who, which we have a lot of like episodes set in this time period. It's always the Doctor who's the magnificent one. So it's just really interesting to see them all running around in their dresses and stuff. I love it. And it's just beautiful.
It's
like,
beautifully shot. I love the visuals, and the production design looks amazing. In that way that only an HBO show can. Those two, I love their chemistry instantly.
Yeah, like for real. Yeah, I'm
wondering, because like it's a superhero show, so like I'm wondering, do they have superpowers on this show?
Yeah.
She's obviously extremely proficient in fighting and punching dudes in the balls.
Did you read the description in the YouTube description of the show?
I have not looked at the YouTube description of the show.
Yeah, look at that because it kind of tells you a little bit more of what's going on with their powers.
Once it's over, then I will. But yeah, but once again, like the special effects look amazing, and the setting is really interesting. I like how she like slips out of her dress as she goes down. That's pretty good. But there looks to be like a lot of strong women, and you're seeing them do like a lot of things that aren't, the Victorian like ladylike, thing. Like they're not doing that at all, which I think is interesting.
Yeah, and it's also really interesting how it went from Joss Whedon directing or writing or whatever he was doing to a woman now. You said, correct?
Right. Yeah, a woman is running. I think she was already a producer on the show, but now she's taken over as showrunner.
Okay.
Yeah, and so the description on the YouTube video says society fears what it cannot understand. In the last years of Victoria's reign, London is beset by the touched people, mostly women, who suddenly manifest abnormal abilities, some charming, some very disturbing. Among them are Amalia True, played by Laura Donnelly, a mysterious, quick-fisted widow, and Penance Adair, played by Anne Skelly, a brilliant young inventor. They are the champions of this new underclass, making a home for the touched while fighting the forces of, well, pretty much all the forces to make room for those whom history as we know it has no place.
I love that.
That's pretty awesome. That is
Yeah.
pretty awesome.
Yeah, Mom, you do need to get HBO again because then I can steal your password.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, we'll definitely. I think we'll definitely cover that. That'll be a review show you and I can do if you're watching it in real time. So because you haven't done any of the review shows with me yet. I did Mandalorian with Ray, and I'm doing WandaVision with Thomas and Eric.
WandaVision this past week, though. Oh man!
If you're watching it, you should come on one of our review shows.
By the time you guys post it, I'm still at work. Like,
It's true. We're doing reviews at like 5:30.
Yeah. So, but
I'll do a little later one week so you can get in on it.
me and Abby usually watch it during like dinner time when we eat Friday nights, and I'm like, the next, please, more.
Well, you know what? Let's talk about the first 3 episodes. Let's do a quick little spoiler-free. We won't go too deeply into the weeds in terms of plot points in case people haven't watched it. But let's talk a little bit about WandaVision thus far because we're 4
episodes
episodes in now.
Mm-hmm.
I would say more like 3.5 episodes in based on that 4th episode. We have 3 episodes, and then the 4th episode kind of recaps everything that happened in the first 3 episodes from a different perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I feel comfortable saying that. So give me your spoiler-free thoughts on WandaVision.
Oh, it's a ride. I love Wanda. She's always been one of my favorites ever since she started in the MCU.
In Age of Ultron.
It's
The movie I just shat on. But she is awesome in it, which is I think why we still see her around.
And how to say anything without spoiling it? It's good. I don't know. I'm no good at spoiler-free reviews. Just, I guess, the implications that come along with the newest episode opens up so much. Like, I don't know. If you're watching this and you haven't seen it yet, just go watch it so that we don't have to do a spoiler-free review anymore.
Well, here's what I'll say. So the first 3 episodes do a really great job at recreating the sitcoms of the eras that they're set in. The first one in the 50s, the second one in the 60s, the third one in the 70s. I think they do a really great job of creating that feel. However, there's always this current of unease
Mm-hmm.
It's just right under the surface. The camera will linger on something too long. Someone's smile is just a little too much and holds a little too long, and you're like, where it feels more like they're not genuinely happy, they're being forced. It feels like horror.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't know what's going on. It makes you extremely uneasy. And then in the third episode, something happens that I think puts into perspective the players in this game and what's really going on. And the fourth episode, I think, is where you finally realize who your protagonist actually is.
Mm-hmm.
So that is what I will say about WandaVision.
That was very well said. Ditto.
So yeah, going forward, I think if you like the first 3 episodes, I don't think we're going to get too much more of that. At least not that like completely in that for the entire episode. I don't think we're going to get that sitcom recreation for the whole thing. I think it's going to be now more of a blend. I think we're going to start seeing like the walls of reality breaking down as we push further into it, and as we move further and further in time through the periods of sitcoms. So yeah, so that's exciting. Yeah,
I'm very excited. Yeah, it's just I'm really excited to see what they do with it, to see what happens, and to see what kind of possibilities this opens up for the greater MCU.
Yeah. Anything else you're watching before we go to Ella stuff? What is your cat doing?
I'm sorry. He always has to be like this. He's just playing with one of his bell balls.
That's okay. I don't mind. It's just like, it sounds like he's just like having a blast back there.
Me and Abby are also watching the second season of Broadchurch, which is a little old, but still very good. But I must say, if you're saying like, oh, I'm gonna watch Broadchurch, I've been hearing good stuff about it. Yes, but also the second season is so goddamn sad. And with the state of the world and everything right now, sometimes I just have to be like, I'm not feeling up to Broadchurch today. So that's your warning if you haven't seen the show yet. Very good, check it out, but maybe just prepare yourself.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get into Ella updates. So the first thing I thought we could do is we could watch. Let me pull it up here. This week we just released a new video, and I strongly recommend checking out all of the Ella videos. You can go to the Ella YouTube channel, which is Everyday with Ella. This week we interviewed my friend Eric, who is the inspiration behind the character of Clark, and that was a really great. There was a really great interview, and I highly recommend checking it out. I'm going to pull it up here right now for people to watch. So let me just share my screen, and we'll watch the interview, and then we'll talk a little bit about what we have coming up with this show. So this is our most recent interview that we did with Eric about Ella. Okay, let me set the screen to the right thing. Here we go. I'm wearing a different shirt. All right. We're back to meeting our inspirations for the children in Ella. And this week we are highlighting Clark. Clark is an adorable young lad who loves superheroes, and he is based off of one of my best friends in the world, and one of my best friends since high school. Eric, Eric, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm
How you
I'm
doing?
all right.
Good, 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 good. So you're looking at the picture that is sent you right now, the
hmm
character of Clark. So my first question I usually ask is, what do you think of the character design? How do you like the look of the character?
It's weirding me out a little because it looks like me when I was a kid.
I mean, well, I took a picture of you as a kid and sent it to my illustrator. So I mean, it's like the exact glasses you used to wear.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
Which, just saying, should bring them back. I love big glasses, obviously.
Oh no, I'm not bringing that back. I
You don't
hated
like
that
the?
look.
Oh,
No,
I love
I
big
looked
chunky glasses.
ridiculous at that in that.
I disagree. You
Fair enough.
look at your character. Look, he is wonderful. I love him. Oh, I urge you to reconsider, my friends. So yeah. So what about the character design do you like? I know it's a little weird. It's like, oh look, it's little me.
Yeah,
With like the aesthetic of the character, the outfit.
well, I love the cape. That's
Hmm.
definitely a nice touch.
Did you notice what the character's name is?
Yes, Clark. Clark Kent, I'm
That
assuming, is what
is
that's
in
an homage
Clark's
to.
name. That
Of
is an
course,
homage to
yes.
even though your favorite is Batman.
It is, yeah, but like many people have told me, I have kind of a Clark Kent or Peter Parker type vibe about me.
Yeah,
The sort of
yeah,
quiet, like nebbishy nerd type guy, you know.
yeah. Um, so my next question is so, and I should preface this by saying, like you, Clark loves superheroes. The conceit in the show is that fairness is Clark's primary motivator, and as such, he loves superheroes because they're fair and they help people. And so he tries to be a good helper. I know that you and I both, one of the things we bonded over when we first met is our love of comics. And so my question is, why do you, Eric, love superheroes?
A lot of reasons. I mean, I love just the larger than life aspect of them, the fantasy elements, how like pretty much anything can happen in a superhero comic. Like the imagination just runs free in this like crazy mishmash of fantasy, sci-fi, adventure, horror, just anything you can throw in there. Like you were saying, I love like their sense of compassion and desire to help people. It's sort of like it's a little bit of wish fulfillment, I think, because so often in real life, there is no fairness and good people suffer. And I love the idea of like just a bigger than life hero that can swoop in and save the day and whatnot, you know, and fight the forces of evil. It's a nice, like, I enjoyed like the escapism aspect of it, of, you know, a hero that can, you know, will always triumph over adversity. And it's sort of, it can inspire people in real life to be like that and try to achieve good things with the abilities that they're given within their own life.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think the evolution of that for me in more recent years is seeing characters that represent different cultures and gender identities and sexual like, orientations. Seeing that like anybody can wear the cape. In
Hmm.
fact, there's the episode that really features Clark in the first season is about him learning that anybody can wear the cape. He's only been introduced to Cosmic Guy, who is the fictional superhero. Pardon me, superhero in this world that he looks up to, the comic book character that he follows, and the other kids want to wear cape. He's like, well, no, as I look like Cosmic Guy, you don't look like Cosmic Guy. And then Ella's papa likes us for like all the other heroes that he hasn't heard about. So I have a whole pantheon of like made up superheroes for them to follow. And he explains like, oh, there's all these other characters. And you know, this character is black, and this character is black woman, and this character is Muslim, and this character is Latinx, and you know, there's characters across all spectrums. And so then Clark goes home, and he's like, because fairness is his primary motivator. He's like, what have I done? You know?
What have I become?
And goes home and has his mom help him, and he makes capes for all the kids so that they can all be superheroes together. And they're, you know, I was thinking I might even do a little like, there might be like a little like recurring World of Imagination segment where you see them as like a baby Justice League type of thing, you know, to show them in more fantastical settings and things like that. Could be really fun. My last question. So we'll stop it there. There's one more segment after that. Highly recommend going to the Everyday with Ella page to check that out. But I wanted to share that with everybody. So that's one of the characters, Clark, on the show. Stephanie, what do you think of Eric's interview?
He's very well spoken. I love that. And you guys both just look excited, and I'll love to see that.
Yeah, I'm very excited for the show. I have some updates in reference to the show. So we just brought on a couple more people to work on the show. So we have a lot of branding stuff happening.
I haven't heard any of these updates. I'm excited.
I know you're here for the first time. I am hoping to have an Ella puppet ready, hopefully within the next month. So hopefully by March we'll be able to actually introduce people to Ella. Is my hope. So that's really exciting.
Oh my goodness!
Somebody today to make the first iteration of the Ella puppet. So that's really, really exciting. Hoping we can get something by March. And if the timeline holds, you know, my plan is to have the Ella puppet by March and to do a prequel Zoom or YouTube series. It won't be the fully produced on a set show that we're hoping to do quite yet, but it will be a prequel series. So Ella lives in Riverwood, right, which is a fictional suburb of Chicago, because we like to name suburbs of Chicago after like wood and water stuff. So, so you know, Riverwood, and they're going to be moving to Riverwood in this prequel series, and the mom is already in Riverwood, and we will be casting for the mom soon. So that's also exciting. Working on the casting notice now. And so the mom will be via Zoom because she's in Riverwood getting the new place set up. Papa and Ella are home, you know, packing, getting ready for the move. And so we'll kick that off with like a little like, you know, half-hour special about managing emotions, and she'll have conversations about how to manage emotions with people. And we'll also get the first appearance of her teacher, who will be her teacher in Riverwood U. So you'll appear in that special. So
surprise!
Yeah, surprise. You know, she'll get to meet you for the first time because you know you work at the school, and you're gonna just pop in and say hi. You know, we're so happy and we're so excited to have you coming to our town, and you know, but we'll see her go through all of these difficult emotions that she's managing, right? And so it's interesting. So Papa basically sets up a series of Zoom calls to show people modeling different emotions. You know? So like grandma might model sadness. You know, you'll probably be the last person she talks to, being somebody that she doesn't know yet.
Hmm.
You know, and I'm not sure what you'll model yet. Either um, fear or happiness. Probably happiness, because we'll probably save happiness for the end, right? Um, but the thing is, like, he makes a call, they talk to the people, and the people will be acting so, like, they'll call like grandma, right? And grandma will be like, "Hi, Ella," and then Ella will see, be able to see from the physical and vocal cues that grandma is sad, and say, "Grandma, why are you sad?" And then grandma will say, "Oh, I'm sad because you're moving." And you're moving, and I'm sad because I won't see you anymore. She'll say, "Oh yes, we'll see you," and then she'll say, "Well, when I'm sad, I manage emotions this way, right?" And so we'll see her model sadness, but then also model how to manage that emotion. So
Oh
it's gonna be,
yeah.
yeah, so it'll be really sweet. And yeah, we're really really excited to bring it to life. It's been a long journey, and I feel like things are really starting to move. So
Awesome. Oh my gosh. I'm so excited.
yeah, so really excited about that. And there's also some other fun stuff that we're working on, like board books, coloring sheets with the characters, things like that. So really excited to bring that to life and have children interact with the characters and see how they interact with the characters. The other big thing about it is making sure that we have resources connected to the show, right? That it's not just a show, but it is also giving both children and parents the tools to communicate effectively with each other, um, so that they can be kind to each
Mhm.
other, because that's so important. And it's funny that we were just the first part of this, we're watching that trailer for the Nevers, about people that normally aren't given the cape having the cape,
Mhm.
right? And then in this show, where there's an episode planned to address that very thing, right? These things are universal in terms of who gets to wield the power,
Mhm.
and who was traditionally denied that power. Um, and it is interesting to try and find ways to have that conversation with children from a place of joy instead of a place of being downtrodden, because like they haven't been downtrodden yet, right? Um, and we want to say to them, like, you can achieve anything, right? That you are worthy of all the gifts of humanity. Um, and how do you balance that message with the harsh realities of systemic racism, right? How do you balance that message? I think is an interesting thing to try and find. Or what is the balance of being honest and open with kids, but also reinforcing that they are worthy, that they are anything but other, that
Mhm.
we are a community. How do you portray that? So it's been fun.
I'm very excited, and I'm just um seeing the Ella puppet is gonna be like a really amazing moment for
Mhm.
us and all the people uh following Ella's journey too.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so, question for you: as a kid, what what television shows were like your shows when you were like really little? Like, do you remember watching the like? For me, it was, for example, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, Reading Rainbow, Sesame Street. Like those were the things that I was kind of raised on.
Mhm. Yeah, the first one that comes to mind is Blue's
My hold on one second. My Now I'm having issues with my thing.
Clues. Did you hear earpiece die?
Okay.
Oh man,
Still can't hear you for some reason. Oh,
you're like you sound like you're really far away now.
I'll put these on. I have lots of wireless headphones.
Was your mic through that too, Maui?
Oh, it's one of those days, yo.
Okay, that's better.
There we go. I reset it. I should be able to hear you now, Stephanie. Give me a second.
Can you hear me?
I think maybe your sound is also because I can't hear you.
My sound.
I don't know.
Can you hear me?
I can't hear you. I don't know if people can hear you. Becky, can you hear Stephanie? I don't know. Try and do your unplug replug thing and see if it is. See if you get sound out.
I'm not using that mic anymore.
She can't hear you. That was weird. Oh, she can hear you. She can hear us both. Talk.
I'm
Hey, there you go. Now I can hear you.
okay, and you sounded like you're really far away, but now you sound better. Thanks.
There we go. I'll figure it out. Thank you, Becky.
As
So
my
yeah,
mom
so what you were
said
saying.
in the comments, Blue's Clues was like our big show that we watched when we were little. We even went to like the live shows and everything. So that's the first one that comes to mind. And really anything that was kind of like on Nick Jr. around that time, like the late 90s. So
That's cool. That's real cool. Yeah, so there will be a live element to Ella as well, for sure. So I'm excited about that. What were the live Blues Clues like, out of curiosity?
I don't totally remember because I was so little, but I do remember there was an interactive aspect of it, which we ate up as kids, where whenever Steve would find a clue, you know, the premise of Blue's Clues is Steve finds the 3 clues and then solves the mystery at the end. Anytime Steve would find a clue on stage, we would be encouraged to write it down. We all had our own little handy dandy notebooks that we'd write the clues down in as well. That is the only memory I have of those, but obviously it was I really enjoyed it to remember it this long.
Yeah, I've been thinking about how, right, because the form of the thing has to be different live than it is like on television, right? So I've been trying to think of like, okay, so when we get to the point where we can do a live show, how do we make it interactive? How do we make the children and the audience active participants in the show? You know, and you know, if we're talking social emotional stuff, right? You know, if Ella's having a problem, maybe having the kids talk her through it as opposed to the adult on the stage talking her through it, and the adult on the stage is just asking for help to cheer her up, for example. That could be a fun way to do that. So it's interesting. Like I think there's a lot of different routes we can go in terms of how we can interact with kids on the stage. So I'm
Yeah,
excited
definitely.
So yeah, that's cool. So those are the updates on Ella. Yeah. Any thoughts as we wrap up here about either Ella or the Nevers or anything?
I don't think so. I'm just I love hearing updates on Ella. I'm really excited to see the kind of tools that it gives kids to put words to their emotions, which is like so important to learn when they are very young, so that they have the communication skills, because being a human is all about communicating, and a lot of people don't know how to.
Right. Yeah.
So this is just, especially now that I'm back working with kids, I can see how this would benefit the toddler like so much. So
yeah. I love it. I love it. Yeah. Well, that's our show. I want to thank everybody for tuning in, and yeah, keep an eye out. be sure to like and subscribe to Reflect Media on YouTube. Also, our other YouTube channel is Everyday with Ella. Remember, every Monday is Conscious Culture. Every Wednesday is The Dope. Echo Love Journey 2021 will be launching soon. I'm not sure what day that will be landing on. We have some fun other shows that we're working on cooking up. I have some people working on a Bridgerton review podcast where they'll go through all the episodes. Next week, I plan on having a bunch of people on, and we're going to play a game that I have created, a debate club game that we're going to test live for the first time on air and see how that goes. I'm very excited about that. So be on the lookout for that. Yeah, that's about it. Stephanie, where can people follow you on the social medias?
I'm singing a Taylor Swift song every day on my TikTok. So that is Stefanelli Hope on TikTok, and my YouTube is Stephanie Hope, where I post covers and stuff. So that's where you can find me and listen to me sing.
I love it. And if you haven't heard Stephanie sing, she's an amazing singer. I'm actually hoping that maybe she could write a simple little like tune about, you know, being happy for the Ella thing. So
Oh,
yeah. I would love that. So thank you everybody for tuning in. We will see you next week. Bye-bye.
bye.